This road has killed dozens of truckers, but I just found out it's afraid of me. I broke my boss's nose 5 minutes before the lights went out. The crunch of cartilage under my knuckles was the most satisfying sound I'd heard all week. Darian sprawled back in his chair, blood jetting from his nostrils, a look of pure shock on his face. The truth was out. Management had been feeding us to this highway, one lane locked soul at a time, for years. My friend Lyra wasn't just stuck. She was a sacrifice. And the whole time, this depot, our only sanctuary, had been sitting right on the edge of the wound. Whose genius idea was it to build our only safe house on top of the goddamn monster? I whispered, the adrenaline making my voice shake. We were crouched behind the main lobby desk now. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the darkness was absolute, a perfect, starless void that seemed to press against the glass. The only light was the cold blue glow of the receptionist's monitor. "Is that really what you're focused on right now?" Darian hissed, pinching the bridge of his bloody nose. "If I'm about to be eaten, I'd like to know who to blame." "It had to be here," he grunted, the words thick with blood. "The barrier is thin enough. It's the only place dispatch could reach you on the road. The only way, in or out. Funny. I just spent a week out there with a dead radio, and I'm still breathing. And it's where we store the impossibilities." I let out a harsh laugh. "What? You got some secret basement for all the weird shit we bring back?" He didn't answer. He just stared at me. "Oh my God," I breathed. "You have a secret basement. The longer they're in the real world, the more reality unravels. I risk my life every time I clock in. You should be thanking me." Weeping with gratitude. "Quick question. What was that you said about feeding us to the road?" A low growl rumbled in his chest. He turned on me, his eyes burning. "Look, Zev, I get it. You're angry. But I'm the one with the broken face, and right now I'm putting that aside because there is something out there, something that just cut our power, and soon it's gonna find a way in. So can we please postpone the I hate you part of the evening until after we're not about to die?" It was the same old song and dance. Postpone, deflect, promise answers that never come. But for the first time, he had a point. I let out a long, shuddering breath and felt my shouldering breath and felt my shouldering breath and felt my shoulders slump. "What do we do?" "The yard lights. The breaker must have tripped. It's supposed to reset on its own, but it must be busted. We have to flip it manually. You don't, check that every 5 minutes? Seems important. We've been a little busy trying to find your replacement all week." I bit back a dozen different replies. "Fine. Where's the panel?" "Outside. Around back." "Of course it is. And we can't just slip over the boundary into the real world and wait for sunrise." He shook his head, a grim motion in the dim light. "It could follow. The things that live on the road, they can cross over. It just takes them time to find the seam. Those lights are the only thing that's kept this one penned in for who knows how long. We don't get them back on, it gets out. For good." He started pulling open the drawers of the reception desk, rummaging through them. He pulled out a small, cheap-looking cylinder and tossed it to me, a pen light, just in case, he said. "Light keeps it skittish." I clicked it on. A weak, watery beam cut through the gloom. Better than nothing. "When I give the word, you hit the lobby lights," he ordered. "It'll be drawn to the motion, to you, but it shouldn't be able to manifest under the fluorescence. I'll make a run for the back." Plan was solid. Me, safe inside with the lights on. It was exactly what I wanted to hear. Which is why I knew it was a lie. "No," I said. "You caused the distraction. I'll flip the breaker." "This isn't the time for heroics, Zev." My laugh was cold enough to frost the air. "I trust a rabid dog more than I trust you, Darian. If I'm the one outside, you have a reason to keep me alive. The other way around? You'd let it take me just to save your own skin. You'd be safer in here." "You say that, but there's always a catch with you, isn't there? You don't even know where the box is." "I do, actually. I pay attention. Now give me the keys." I stared pointedly at the ring clipped to his belt. "Why do you always have to make things so difficult?" He was cut off as the world outside exploded with light. For a glorious, heart-stopping second, the yard lights blazed to life. The lobby was flooded with brilliant, beautiful white. No, not the yard lights. Headlights. A small, beat-up sedan had pulled into a parking spot right by the entrance. The lights cut out, plunging us back into a deeper darkness than before, our eyes still reeling. A car door slammed shut. No, Darian breathed. He lunged for the light switch, but he was too late. Phaedra was at the front door, fumbling with her keys. She never got the chance to use them. The darkness around her wasn't empty anymore. It thickened, congealing from nothing, a tide of living shadow that rose up around her ankles. She opened her mouth, but the scream was stillborn. The darkness didn't pour down her throat. It smothered her, a silent, suffocating blanket that seeped into her skin like ink into paper. She clawed at her neck, her face, but her hands just passed through the shifting murk. Her skin began to ripple, like water disturbed by a stone. Her movements became jerky, puppet-like, and then they stopped altogether. She just stood there, arms slack at her sides, her expression frozen in a mask of silent terror. The lobby lights flickered on, but it was over. The shadow sank into her completely, vanishing beneath her skin. Then came the sound, a dry, rattling crackle. Like autumn leaves being crushed underfoot, or 1,000 tiny bones snapping at once. Her body remained still, but the sound came from inside her. She slowly turned, her movements stiff and unnatural, and opened her mouth. A thin stream of gray dust trickled out, spilling onto the concrete, the last mortal remnants of Phaedra. The thing wearing her skin turned to face us. Its eyes were closed, sealed shut against the light. It raised her hand, the one still holding her keys. "Go," Darian screamed. I didn't need to be told twice. I launched myself at him, ripped the keyring from his belt, and sprinted for the stairwell. The lobby doors shattered behind me. Footsteps, unnaturally heavy and dragging, followed me. It was me it wanted. "Darian's the other way," I shouted over my shoulder. "He's got a broken nose. Easy target." It was a sick sort of deja vu. Just an hour ago, I'd been the one chasing him down these same halls. I definitely preferred it that way around. I slapped every light switch I passed, leaving a trail of humming, fluorescent light in my wake. I didn't know if this thing could still become a shadow, but I wasn't taking any chances. Behind me, I heard glass breaking as it took out the bulbs one by one. My path to safety was shrinking. I fumbled for the switch to the second-floor break room, my fingers clumsy with panic. It took too long. The thing that was Phaedra slammed into me from behind, its nails digging deep furrows in my face and arms. I tried to throw it off, but it wrapped its legs around mine and sank its teeth into my calf. "Son of a trucker," I yelled, and kicked backwards with my free leg, aiming for its head. My boot connected with a sickening, hollow crunch. The skull caved in like a cheap plastic mask. For a second, I thought I'd won. Then the dent popped back out with a wet snap. Right, just a skin suit. My options were disappearing. I had to get outside. The only other staircase down was on the far side of the building. Through hallways, it had already darkened. My heart hammered against my ribs. My lungs burned. I ran past Darian's office. An idea sparked. The room was dark where Darian had smashed the light bulb earlier, but the ambient glow from the hallway kept the deepest shadows at bay. I threw myself over the desk, frantically searching. Phaedra crashed into me, and this time her mouth latched onto my neck. Teeth, sharp and wrong, tore at my flesh. I roared in pain and fell to the floor. There. Half hidden under the desk, glinting in the dim light, was the box cutter. I snatched it and stabbed blindly behind me. The blade caught, and I ripped downwards with a sound like tearing canvas. The thing shrieked, a soundless, psychic wail that vibrated in my teeth. It scrambled off me, clawing at its own face. A long, black gash ran from its temple to its jaw. But there was no blood, no tissue, just a void. A slice of absolute nothingness that seemed to suck the light out of the room. It tried to pinch the wound closed, but roiling darkness spilled out from the tear. I stabbed the cutter into its leg and tore upwards. Its mouth gaped open, revealing the same empty blackness inside. It was like trying to hold water in a leaky bag. I didn't stick around to watch it fall apart. I abandoned the lights and just ran, down the hall, down the stairs, and bursting through the back door into the cold night air. And there it was. The electrical box, catching the faint orange glow of the false moon that hung over this place. My hand shook so badly I could barely fit a key into the lock. I tried one. Nothing. The next. It wouldn't turn. Above me, a second-story window exploded outward, and a cloud of pure shadow poured into the night. It was free. Forget it. I dropped the keys and clawed at the metal panel, trying to pry it open with my bare hands. The flimsy metal groaned, bent, started to give way. And then the cold hit me. It wasn't a cloud of dust. It was a wave of absolute zero, a physical presence that sucked the heat from my body and the air from my lungs. I fumbled for my pen light, flicking it on. The weak beam barely pierced the gloom. The cold recoiled from the tiny pinprick of light, but it was everywhere else, pressing in, a crushing, silent weight. My eyes squeezed shut. This was it. The cold seeped into my bones, a deep, mind-numbing chill that felt like my blood was turning to ice. My heart began to stutter. It didn't need to get inside me. It was just going to stop me. A silent, frozen death. My muscles locked up. My vision tunneled into a gray pinprick. I was drowning in an ocean of ice. I was gone. I knew I was. The fight was over. It could wait forever. I couldn't. Don't give in. Do not stop. And then, just as the last spark in my brain was about to flicker out, the world turned white. A blinding, brilliant light slammed into me, so intense it was almost painful. And with it came warmth, glorious, life-giving warmth. The crushing cold shattered like glass, recoiling in every direction. I fell to my knees, gasping, my lungs aching as they drew in a real breath. The breaker Darian screamed. He was in the cab of my rig, not 20 yards away, the high beams blasting the darkness to pieces. I didn't waste a second. My fingers, numb but working, found the keys on the ground. The third one I tried twisted in the lock. The panel door flew open. I didn't bother trying to figure out which switch it was. I just slammed my hand up, flipping all of them at once. The yard lit up like a stadium, every corner flooded with harsh, beautiful, artificial light. The rest is a blur. Adrenaline, oxygen deprivation, and a week without proper sleep all hit me at once. The world tilted and swam. I remember an arm hooking under my shoulder, helping me stumble back inside, back up the stairs, back to the land of the living. I tried to save her, you know. I looked up from the chipped ceramic mug I was cradling. It was a few hours later. I'd crashed in the sleeper cab of my truck, not trusting myself to drive. Now, in the gray light of a false dawn, I was nursing my third cup of coffee. Darian stood in the doorway of the break room. He'd fashioned a crude splint for his nose out of an aluminum strip and some tape. I said, my voice hoarse. There was nothing you could have done. Phaedra got here too fast. Not Phaedra. Lyra. He shuffled to the coffee pot, poured himself a mug, and took a sip. He immediately spit it into the sink. God, this is just brown water. It's my third pot. Decided to dial it back. He dumped my work, started a fresh pot, and sat down across from me. We came up together, he said quietly. Me and Lyra. Bet you didn't know I used to drive. Most of us did. Gloria too. You can't exactly post a job listing for supernatural logistics manager on Indeed. You have to live it first. I just stared into my mug. We'd talk on the radio for hours, he went on, his voice distant, even after I took the dispatch job. When she got locked, I was like you. It tore me apart. I spent months looking for a way, any way, to get her back. But we're not doing this, I cut him off. Doing what? This. The sad story. The attempt to make me feel sorry for you. Don't. We're not friends because we survived the same nightmare. Proving you were human once doesn't excuse what you are now. So just stop. He stared at me for a long moment. The new pot of coffee gurgled, finished its cycle, and fell silent. He sat back down and took a slow, deliberate sip from his mug. Fine, he said, his voice stripped of all emotion. He leaned forward, slamming his elbows on the table. Here's the deal, Zev. You saw that thing out there. The one that turned Phaedra into a dust doll. There are hundreds more like it. Worse things. And they're not all on the road. Some of them are already out here, in the real world. You can't kill them. You can't reason with them. You can't reason with them. You can't lock them up. There is only the road. He leaned in closer, his eyes filled with a disgust so profound it was almost beautiful. What we do here is wrong. It's monstrous. When the road marks a driver, we let it happen. Sometimes we even give them the longest routes, the loneliest highways, just to speed it along. Because we've learned the hard way that if the road doesn't get what it wants, it takes 3 more to make up for it. It's indefensible. It's disgusting. I've heard it all for years. But you know what I've never heard? He tilted his head. A better solution. Please, enlighten me. I said nothing. Thought so. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hit him again. But the fight was gone. The rage that had been boiling in me for a week had cooled into a solid, heavy lump of exhaustion in my gut. I couldn't even find the energy to hate him anymore. He stood up and paused at the door. You're right. We're not friends. I don't expect you to forgive me. God knows I'll never forgive you for this. He tapped his broken nose. But I am asking you to stay. You know what's at stake now. Don't give up on us. He left me alone in the silent break room. I let out a short, bitter laugh. Don't give up. Darian gave up years ago. Lyra was forced to. Everyone I knew in this world had given up something essential just to survive another day. Hell, taking this job in the first place was me giving up on my entire life. How do you give up on giving up? You don't. The choice wasn't mine anymore. Even knowing what I knew, knowing the ugly, rotten truth of it all, I had to stay. I had to find that better solution Darian was so sure didn't exist. That's what I told the road itself, wasn't it? Weeks ago. I screamed at it that I would save Lyra, and it tried to drown me in my own cab. I'd always taken that as a threat, and it was, of course it was, but it was something else too. Why would the road bother to warn me away unless there was something to be warned away from? It was the same tell Darian had. You only know someone is hiding a terrible secret because of all the smaller, less important things they try to hide first. The road tried to stop me from helping Lyra for one simple reason. It was possible, and it was afraid.